It was just another tempestuous night in Willow Creek, Oregon. A night when relentless rain blurred neon lights into watery ribbons along slick downtown streets, and when most people hurried indoors to escape the chill. For Charles Montgomery, a 48-year-old billionaire, it was simply another evening on the road as he raced against time for a critical $10 million deal. Charles, renowned for his ruthless business acumen and a lifestyle that epitomized luxury, had grown accustomed to precision and punctuality. This very night, however, an undercurrent of anxiety disturbed his usually unflappable demeanor. His private chauffeur had unexpectedly called, leaving Charles no alternative but to drive himself in his prized midnight blue Mercedes S-Class to a pivotal meeting that promised to solidify his company's dominance in the fiercely competitive tech sector. The Mercedes purred to life as Charles adjusted his cufflinks and gripped the steering wheel with determined intensity. The open highway lay deserted before him, a perfect runway for a luxury vehicle to glide unimpeded. Every glance at the digital clock on his dashboard reminded him that every second counted. The minutes were slipping away like grains of sand in an hourglass, each one vital to securing his reputation and the opportunity he valued above all else. As he neared the outskirts of Willow Creek, the distant twinkle of the city skyline emerged, a sight that brought him a modicum of relief. Yet just as he began to relax, an unexpected sputtering noise shattered the calm. Charles frowned and glanced at the dashboard as warning lights began to flicker erratically. A distinct choking sound emanated from the engine before the car lurched one final time and came to an abrupt halt on the side of the road. Frustration surged through him as he stepped out into the cold, lashing rain. His luxury Mercedes, a symbol of his wealth and power, now stood inert, leaving him stranded on an empty stretch of highway with no sign of assistance. With a resigned sigh, he popped open the hood, the engine hissing softly as its intricate machinery mocked his technical ignorance. Charles fumbled for his smartphone, only to see the signal bar waver feebly. No calls would go through, and the oppressive silence of the deserted road amplified his sense of isolation. A bead of sweat trickled down his temple as he considered the consequences. A missed meeting meant not only a lost deal, but also a dent in his carefully built reputation. He paced the rain-soaked asphalt, peering down each direction in search of any sign of life. The emptiness of the landscape felt surreal, a stark contrast to the bustling boardrooms and glamorous hotel lobbies that normally defined his world. For the first time in many years, Charles felt entirely powerless. Just when despair threatened to overwhelm him, the faint roar of an engine broke through the silence. Charles's head snapped toward the sound, his heart pounding with a mix of hope and skepticism. A battered motorcycle, its paint chipped and its engine rumbling, appeared in the distance. The rider, dressed in a faded delivery uniform and wearing a well-worn cap, slowed as he noticed Charles standing by the disabled Mercedes. The motorcycle eventually came to a halt, and the young man removed his helmet, revealing a boyish yet determined face. "Sir, is everything all right?" the young delivery rider asked, in a polite yet steady voice, despite the stark contrast between his humble appearance and the world of luxury that Charles represented. Charles hesitated for a moment, assessing the young man before him. Could someone so ordinary help him in a situation as dire as this? Yet, driven by desperation and the ticking clock, he replied, "My car has stopped working and I have no time to waste. I need assistance." The young man introduced himself as Liam Carter, a 22-year-old delivery boy who had once worked as a mechanic before life's hardships had forced him into his current job. Though Charles's initial skepticism lingered in his mind, he had little choice but to let Liam approach his stranded vehicle. With practiced ease, Liam rolled up his sleeves and began inspecting the engine. His movements were swift and purposeful, clearly a skill honed from years of hands-on work, even if the world had relegated him to delivering packages. Minutes stretched into what felt like an eternity as Liam worked diligently under the relentless downpour. Charles, anxious about the dwindling time for his high-stakes meeting, watched with a mixture of impatience and disbelief. Then, with a few final adjustments and a confident nod, Liam stepped back and wiped his grease-stained hands on a rag. "Try starting it now," he said, in a calm tone that betrayed no hint of the urgency around him. With a deep breath, Charles climbed back into the Mercedes and turned the key. To his amazement, the engine roared back to life as smoothly and powerfully as if it had never faltered. A wave of relief washed over him, and for the briefest of moments, the tension in his shoulders eased considerably. "Thank you, Liam," Charles said sincerely, stepping out of the car. For someone often perceived as cold and detached, his gratitude was genuine. He reached into his wallet and handed Liam a generous tip, a silent acknowledgement of the delivery boy's invaluable help. Curious and grateful, Charles asked for Liam's name and address, but Liam merely offered a shy smile and a brief nod before returning to his delivery route. Without further delay, Charles resumed his journey, eventually making it to his crucial meeting just in time. Yet, as he sat in the opulent conference room, sealing the multi-million-dollar deal that would secure his company's future, he found that the memory of the young man's kindness remained etched in his mind. A full month passed, and life continued on its relentless pace for both men. Liam, now back to his routine life as a delivery boy supporting his family in a modest apartment on the outskirts of Willow Creek, barely recalled the billionaire who had once saved him the night before. Every day began with the buzz of his alarm clock and long rides through the city streets, delivering packages to various addresses that blurred together. He had almost relegated the encounter to the realm of an odd, isolated incident, just another moment in his unpredictable life. Yet, one late evening, as Liam sat at his small kitchen table, helping his aging mother sort through bills and worrying about the rising cost of her medical care, a knock at the door startled him. When he opened it, his breath caught in his throat. Standing there was Charles Montgomery, impeccably dressed in a tailored suit that seemed out of place in the humble neighborhood. "Good evening, Liam," Charles said, his voice warm and earnest, a stark contrast to his usual authoritative tone. "May I come in?" Liam, still stunned, stepped aside and allowed the billionaire to enter. His mother watched from the kitchen with wide, apprehensive eyes as Charles introduced himself properly and began explaining why he had come. "I wanted to thank you in person," Charles said, "for that night when you fixed my car. You didn't just repair a machine. You saved me from missing a deal that could have cost me everything." Liam's heart pounded as he tried to process the gravity of the moment. "Sir, I was just doing what anyone would do," he stammered, unsure of how to respond. Charles shook his head gently. "No, Liam, not everyone would have stopped to help a stranded man on an empty road in the middle of a storm." He continued, "I have been thinking about your talent and your determination. I want to offer you something that might change your life." With that, Charles pulled out a sleek leather briefcase and set it on the small table in Liam's modest living room. Opening it carefully, he revealed neat stacks of cash totaling $60,000, a sum that made Liam's eyes widen in disbelief. "This is a token of my gratitude," Charles explained, "but it's also an investment in you. I'd like to offer you a position at Blackwell Innovations, my company, with proper training and a salary that reflects your potential." Liam's voice caught in his throat as he absorbed the enormity of what was happening. He had been struggling to make ends meet for so long, juggling odd jobs and caring for his ailing mother, never imagining that a billionaire's offer could come his way. "Mr. Montgomery, I don't know what to say," he managed, his voice trembling with emotion. I can't accept this much money, it's too much." Charles placed a firm hand on Liam's shoulder. "Liam, this isn't merely about money, it's about recognizing your talent and giving you an opportunity to build a future that you deserve. I believe in you, and I know that you can do great things if given a chance." His tone was sincere, and the conviction in his eyes left no room for doubt. After a long pause filled with emotion, Liam finally nodded. "I'll do it," he said quietly, determination and hope intermingling in his voice. "I'll join your team." Thus began a transformative chapter in Liam's life. Over the next few weeks, Charles arranged for Liam to visit Blackwell Innovations. He was given an official tour of the state-of-the-art corporate headquarters, a stark contrast to the modest apartment he had always known. The corridors were lined with sleek glass and polished surfaces. The pace was fast and professional, yet there was an underlying warmth in the way employees greeted each other. Although initially overwhelmed by the grandeur and the high-powered environment, Liam's natural aptitude and mechanical expertise shone through. His previous experience as a mechanic proved invaluable as he quickly grasped the technical nuances of his new role, which combined hands-on problem-solving with strategic operations. Charles personally mentored Liam, guiding him through boardroom meetings, introducing him to influential colleagues, and helping him understand the business world from the inside out. In time, Liam's life began to transform in ways he had never imagined. The $60,000 gift from Charles allowed him to pay off his mother's mounting medical bills and to set aside a modest sum for their future. His mother, who had long worried about his precarious financial situation, wept tears of relief and gratitude when Liam explained his new opportunity. As Liam settled into his role at Blackwell Innovations, he found that the company's culture was evolving, shaped by Charles's renewed commitment to compassion and ethical leadership. Employees spoke in hushed, admiring tones of the day a stranded billionaire had been rescued by a delivery boy, and the story soon spread on social media, inspiring countless others who believed that kindness could indeed change a life. One brisk autumn evening, several months after his recruitment, Liam received an unexpected invitation from Charles. The invitation, elegantly handwritten on high-quality stationery, requested his presence at a charity gala hosted by Blackwell Innovations in downtown Seattle. The event was designed to celebrate community outreach and ethical business practices, a cause that had become dear to Charles's heart. Though Liam was initially hesitant about attending such a glamorous affair, he eventually decided to go, seeing it as an opportunity not only to represent his new role, but also to inspire others through his journey. At the gala, the atmosphere was electric. Chandeliers sparkled overhead, and guests mingled in designer attire against the backdrop of a modern, art-filled venue. Yet, amid all the glitz and glamour, Liam felt a profound sense of humility and purpose. As he mingled with industry leaders and philanthropists, he recalled the stormy night when his skills had saved a billionaire's career, and how that very act had changed his life. When Charles took the stage to deliver a keynote address about the importance of compassion in business, he singled out Liam as a living example of how small acts of decency could yield extraordinary returns. "Liam Carter," Charles announced, his voice resonant and proud, "is a reminder that true strength lies not in the size of one's bank account, but in the courage to help others when no one is watching." The audience erupted in applause, and for the first time in a long while, Liam felt that the struggles of his past were being transformed into the hope of a brighter future. In the weeks that followed, Liam's role at Blackwell Innovations expanded. He was promoted to a position where he not only contributed to the company's technical operations, but also played a key role in its community outreach initiatives. Under Charles's mentorship, Liam helped develop programs that provided vocational training and apprenticeship opportunities for young people in underprivileged neighborhoods. These programs aim to empower the next generation of skilled workers, ensuring that the spirit of hard work and kindness that had once saved his own life could ripple out to transform many more. His journey from a delivery boy with modest means to an influential figure within a major corporation became a symbol of hope and possibility. A modern-day rags-to-riches story, fueled not by greed, but by compassion and perseverance. Yet, despite his newfound success, Liam never forgot the quiet dignity of his past, or the challenges that had defined his earlier years. On quiet evenings at his modest apartment, now slightly more spacious than before, he would reflect on the serendipitous events that had set him on this transformative path. He recalled the chill of that stormy night, the loneliness of the deserted road, and the gentle heroism that had saved not only his life but the day of a billionaire on the brink of disaster. In these reflective moments, he would often scroll through social media and read messages of support from young people across the nation, people who had been touched by the story of how a single act of kindness had the power to change everything. Motivated by these messages, Liam began vlogging about his journey, sharing insights into the challenges he had overcome and the lessons he had learned. His videos, filled with raw honesty and heartfelt gratitude, quickly resonated with a generation of viewers who valued authenticity over pretense and believed that every small gesture mattered. Meanwhile, Charles Montgomery, ever the titan of industry, found his perspective on success undergoing a profound transformation. In boardrooms where he once dominated discussions with cold, calculated precision, he now advocated for a new model of leadership, one that placed as much value on empathy and ethical responsibility as it did on profit margins. His public speeches began to include heartfelt anecdotes about the night he was stranded on that empty road and the delivery boy who had not only fixed his car, but had rekindled a long-dormant belief in the power of human connection. "We live in a world that too often values numbers over people," Charles would say in interviews, his voice tinged with both regret and hope. "But true success isn't about what you earn, it's about the lives you touch, the opportunities you create, and the kindness you extend, even in the darkest moments." As the months turned into years, Blackwell Innovations' philanthropic arm grew in scope and impact. Charles established several initiatives aimed at supporting education, job training, and small businesses in economically challenged communities. He even created an annual Kindness Award, honoring everyday heroes who demonstrated extraordinary compassion and selflessness. Liam, now a key figure in these initiatives, was frequently invited to speak at schools and community centers about his journey from a humble delivery boy to a respected member of a Fortune 500 company. His message was simple yet powerful: that every person, no matter their background or circumstance, possessed the potential to change their world through the transformative power of a single kind act. On one particularly crisp autumn evening, as the sun dipped low over Seattle and bathed the city in a soft golden glow, Charles and Liam attended a grand charity gala at a renovated historic theater. The event, resplendent with crystal chandeliers and elegant table settings, was a celebration of the company's new vision for ethical leadership and community empowerment. Standing together on a small stage before an audience of influential philanthropists and community leaders, Charles spoke with quiet conviction. "Tonight we celebrate more than just business success," he declared. "We honor the idea that one act of kindness can change the course of a life. I stand before you as proof that, even in our relentless pursuit of achievement, it is compassion that truly defines us." Liam then took the microphone, his voice steady despite the emotion that filled him. "I once felt that my life was a series of setbacks, that the odds were stacked against me," he said. "But a single moment of genuine help on a stormy night changed everything. I encourage all of you to remember that our actions, no matter how small, have the power to ignite change in others' lives." The applause was overwhelming, a resounding affirmation that the new definition of success was resonating with people from all walks of life. In the years that followed, the legacy of that life-changing night on an empty road continued to ripple outward. Blackwell Innovations' reputation for ethical business practices and community support became a model for companies across the nation. Liam's inspiring journey was featured in motivational podcasts, social media campaigns, and even academic lectures on leadership and resilience. Meanwhile, Charles's own transformation, from a ruthless billionaire to a leader defined by empathy and generosity, became a case study in how one person's change of heart can catalyze positive shifts throughout an entire industry. Liam's personal life, too, began to flourish in ways he had never imagined. The struggles he had once faced, long hours on a battered motorcycle, the constant worry over his mother's health, the daily grind of living paycheck to paycheck, were gradually replaced by hope and opportunity. With the financial security provided by his new role, he was able to move into a modest but comfortable apartment closer to his family. He reconnected with old friends and even found time to pursue hobbies he had long abandoned. Every time he looked at the generous check that Charles had given him on that fateful day, he was reminded that kindness often returns in ways that defy expectation. For Charles, the most unexpected reward was the realization that his own life had been transformed by the very people he once considered beneath him. As he sat in his expansive penthouse overlooking the rain-drenched streets of Seattle, he often thought back to that lonely, deserted road, and the day a young man had reminded him that success measured in dollars and deals was hollow without a human connection. In quiet moments of reflection, he would write lengthy journal entries recounting the lessons he had learned and the promise that every act of compassion held the power to change the world. His personal manifesto, crafted with a raw sincerity that few had ever seen, became a guiding principle for his philanthropic endeavors and a source of inspiration for countless young entrepreneurs looking to lead with heart rather than with cold calculation. One chilly winter morning, as the first light of dawn broke over Seattle and a thin layer of frost adorned the sidewalks, Charles decided to visit one of the community centers his foundation had helped establish. The center, a repurposed warehouse filled with bright murals, community art, and the soft buzz of hopeful chatter, was a haven for those striving to overcome adversity. There he met several young people whose lives had been touched by his initiatives. Among them was a determined student who shared how a scholarship from the Harper Legacy Program, named in honor of the very principles that had changed Charles's life, had enabled her to attend college and pursue her dreams. Moved by their stories, Charles vowed to continue using his success to create opportunities for those who had been left behind, ensuring that his journey from darkness to light would serve as a beacon for future generations. As summer turned to autumn and the golden leaves of Seattle's parks crunched underfoot, the legacy of that stormy night continued to unfold in unexpected ways. Liam, now an integral part of Blackwell Innovations and a respected voice in community outreach, began hosting free workshops at local vocational schools. He shared his experiences with young mechanics and technicians, emphasizing the importance of perseverance, humility, and the simple truth that every small act of kindness could create ripples of change. His workshops became so popular that they were soon featured on local news channels and social media platforms, with thousands of viewers praising his down-to-earth approach and inspiring message. Not Veronica this time. Our new character in this story is Mia Anderson, the former teacher turned waitress whose gentle kindness had once changed a young billionaire's destiny, continued to redefine her own life as well. After reconnecting with Spencer Blackwell on that fateful evening in Los Angeles, Mia had learned to embrace her complex identity, no longer hiding behind the polished veneer of a billionaire CEO. Instead, she balanced her corporate responsibilities with a sincere passion for education and social justice. Over time, Mia had become a public advocate for ethical leadership, speaking at conferences and mentoring other educators who longed to return to the authentic, compassionate roots of teaching. Her journey, from a humble classroom to the pinnacle of corporate success and back to the heart of human connection, was chronicled in numerous interviews and became an enduring inspiration for people across the country. One memorable evening, as dusk settled softly over downtown Los Angeles and the city's neon lights flickered like hopeful beacons in the rain, Spencer Blackwell invited Mia to join him at an intimate charity dinner held in a renovated historic theater. The elegant venue, with its velvet drapes, polished wood floors, and the gentle strains of a live jazz quartet, provided the perfect backdrop for their reunion. Standing together on a small stage before an audience of community leaders, philanthropists, and local artists, Spencer spoke with heartfelt conviction. "There was a time when I measured my worth by boardroom battles and bottom lines," he said, his voice echoing with the sincerity of his transformation. "But tonight, I stand here to remind you that true success is measured by the kindness we share and the lives we uplift." Mia stepped forward, her eyes glistening with unshed tears, and added softly, "Let our journey be a testament that no matter how far we rise, our true value is found in our compassion, our willingness to be vulnerable, and the hope we inspire in one another." The applause that followed was thunderous, a resounding affirmation that the power of genuine connection had transcended even the highest pinnacles of success. As the years passed, the intertwined destinies of Spencer, Mia, Liam, and countless others continued to shape a new narrative, a narrative that celebrated the notion that every act of compassion, no matter how small, could become the catalyst for extraordinary change. Blackwell Innovations' philanthropic programs grew, offering scholarships, job training, and community support services to thousands of underprivileged youth across the United States. Liam Carter, who had once been a struggling delivery boy, emerged as a role model for young people everywhere, a living testament to the idea that integrity and hard work could transform even the most challenging circumstances. His journey, documented through inspiring vlogs and heartfelt social media posts, resonated deeply with millions of viewers, inspiring them to believe in the transformative power of a single act of kindness. In quiet moments of reflection, whether while driving along the scenic highways of Oregon or sitting in a modest office overlooking the bustling city of Seattle, each of these individuals, each life touched by that fateful stormy night, came to understand that success and wealth were ultimately hollow without the warmth of human connection. They learned that the true measure of a person was not the size of their bank account, but the depth of their compassion, the honesty of their character, and the positive impact they had on the lives of others. One crisp winter morning, as a gentle layer of frost glistened on the sidewalks of Seattle and the early light painted the sky in soft hues of pink and gold, Liam stood outside the flagship garage of Harrison's Auto Revival, a now thriving chain of auto repair centers that had become a symbol of hope and community resilience. He recalled the long journey from that cold, lonely night on the side of an empty road to the present day, where his skills and his kindness had not only rescued a billionaire, but had also sparked a movement that transformed lives. As he gazed at the bustling garage, with apprentices learning and customers sharing smiles of gratitude, he felt a deep sense of pride and fulfillment. Not far away, in a modest penthouse overlooking downtown Seattle, Spencer Blackwell sat by a large window, the rain softly tapping against the glass as he reflected on his own journey. He remembered the day he was stranded on that deserted highway, the fear, the frustration, and ultimately the relief when Liam Carter had fixed his car with humble expertise. That memory, so vivid and transformative, had led him to reconsider every aspect of his life. Now, as he reviewed plans for new philanthropic initiatives with his trusted advisors, he vowed to continue channeling his wealth into projects that fostered community, education, and ethical leadership. His transformation had become a beacon for others, a reminder that even the most powerful among us must never forget the simple, yet profound, impact of kindness. In boardrooms across the country and at community events from Los Angeles to New York, the story of that stormy night was retold with reverence and hope. People marveled at how a billionaire's fate had been altered by the selfless act of a young delivery boy, and how that encounter had rippled outward to change lives in ways that defied conventional expectations. It was a narrative that cut through the noise of materialism and reminded everyone that the human heart, when nurtured with compassion, held the power to heal and inspire. Over time, the legacy of that unforgettable night grew into a movement, a collective effort to redefine success and to champion the values of empathy, integrity, and authentic connection. Educational programs, mentorship initiatives, and community outreach projects sprang up in cities and small towns alike, all inspired by the belief that every act of kindness has the power to spark monumental change. From inspirational talks at local high schools to viral social media campaigns using hashtags like "Kindness Changes Everything" and "Heart of Gold," the message spread that no matter where you come from, the true measure of your worth is found in the way you treat others. One particularly memorable evening, as summer gave way to autumn and the streets of Seattle were bathed in the soft glow of twilight, Spencer and Mia, along with Liam and many others whose lives had been touched by that fateful, stormy night, gathered at a community center to celebrate a year of transformative change. The renovated building buzzed with energy, children laughing in newly established playgrounds, teenagers engaging in mentorship sessions, and local business leaders discussing plans for further social initiatives. Standing on a modest stage adorned with twinkling fairy lights, Spencer addressed the crowd with a voice that blended authority with heartfelt sincerity. Tonight, we celebrate not the wealth amassed in bank accounts, but the wealth of compassion that unites us. Each act of kindness, no matter how small, lights the way for a brighter tomorrow. Mia stepped forward, her eyes alight with determination as she added, "Let our story remind you that every person has the power to change the world. When we choose love over indifference and compassion over profit, we build a future where every heart can shine." The applause that followed was not just a tribute to their achievements. It was a declaration of a new way of living, one that valued the human spirit above all else. As the celebration wound down and the community slowly dispersed into the cool night, Spencer, Mia, and Liam remained together, reflecting on the journey that had brought them from seemingly ordinary beginnings to a life filled with extraordinary impact. In the quiet moments that followed, with the distant hum of the city providing a gentle backdrop, they recalled the long, stormy night on an empty road, the night that had redefined their destinies. It was a memory that, like a cherished heirloom, they carried close to their hearts, a reminder that the simple act of helping a stranger can sometimes be the catalyst for a revolution of hope, transformation, and lasting change. Years later, as the legacy of their intertwined lives continued to inspire new generations, the story of that tempestuous night in Willow Creek became a symbol of possibility, a beacon that shone through the darkest storms to reveal the truth that every life holds the potential for greatness. In every repaired engine at Harrison's Auto Revival, in every scholarship awarded by Blackwell Innovations' philanthropic arm, and in every heartfelt conversation shared at community events, the memory of that fateful encounter was honored. It was a legacy built not on the transient allure of wealth or status, but on the timeless transformative power of kindness and the courage to act when it matters most. And so, as the rain continued to fall gently on the streets of Seattle, and the neon lights shimmered in quiet testimony to a city that never stopped dreaming, Charles Montgomery, Mia Anderson, Liam Carter, and all those touched by their journey pressed forward into a future defined by compassion, resilience, and hope. Their shared story was a living reminder that no matter how turbulent the night, the dawn always brings the promise of a new beginning, and that sometimes a single act of genuine kindness can change everything.